Hey, what's going on? Daniel here. Welcome back to another video. Good news from Saudi Arabia. You might be wondering, what's up with Saudi Arabia? Well, recently Saudi Arabia, a few years ago, just opened up its borders to everyone from everywhere to come into the country and to enjoy all of the goodness that Saudi Arabia has to offer. And before that, it's been a very closed country with only a few options that allows people to come into the country. Either you're from a Western country, or maybe you're coming there on business or on a religious pilgrimage. But right now it is open to everyone, provided that you meet these requirements that I'm about to cover in this video. If you have these requirements, you are eligible to apply for a tourist visa for Saudi Arabia, either for 30 days, 60 days, multiple entry, 1 year, and who knows, maybe that might be your next digital nomad destination. Of course, it is not a Western country. Saudi Arabia has its laws, which has to be respected. So if you want to go there, make sure you keep these things in mind. So let's go over the visa requirements for Saudi Arabia. Of course, if you're from a Western country, United States, you can apply for an e-visa, which gets approved in a matter of hours, sometimes maybe over 24 hours. But that was if you had a US passport, Canadian passport, or an EU passport. But very recently, I'm talking about less than 2 months ago, maybe about 3 months ago, this is not made mainstream news. Saudi Arabia has allowed people from pretty much everywhere to apply for Saudi e-visa, as long as you meet the specific requirements, and I'm going to go over them right now. So if you have a US, UK, Schengen residence, or a business tourist visa holder from US, UK, or from any Schengen region, you can apply for a tourist visa, an e-visa, for Saudi Arabia. So this is the official government website of Saudi Arabia. If you want to apply for the visa, this is where you go. Visit saudi.com. I'll leave it down in the description if you want to check it out. And if you come here, it is the very first thing that you see. It says find out what type of visa you need to visit Saudi. Now, if you go here, every country is pretty much listed here. I'm not sure it's every country, but most countries are listed here. If you don't find a country there, then it has to be some bureaucratic thing that your country needs to figure out with Saudi Arabia. But for example, I'm Nigerian, and I'm just gonna put it right there, Nigeria. And for me, I'm a US resident, so I'm just gonna select I'm a US, UK, or Schengen resident. I'm gonna put that right here, and almost immediately tells me what my visa options are, meaning I can get all three visa options online, and an e-visa, visa on arrival, and transit or stopover visa. So right now, the e-visa, when I checked a couple of months ago, it was not available to me because I'm from Nigeria. Even though I am a US resident, it didn't take that into consideration. But right now, if you have US residency, UK residency, a tourist visa for US, a tourist or business visa for any of these countries and the Schengen region, then you will be able to apply for your e-visa for Saudi online. So this is a very good news for anyone who has a third-tier passport, who's not from the US or the UK. Even if you have a tourist visa, you're still able to apply for an e-visa for Saudi Arabia, and who knows, maybe that's might be your next digital nomad destination. And just a few things to know about this. Now let's go over the e-visa information if you're trying to apply for it, what it costs and things of that nature. So the e-visa price itself, about 300 riyals, which is equivalent to about $80 US. Application fee costs about $10.50, and there's a medical insurance fee. So if you're traveling to Saudi Arabia, you have to have medical insurance. Now, even if you have safety wing, speaking of safety wing, I'll have a link to description down below if you want to get your nomad insurance. But that does not apply to Saudi Arabia. You still have to get an insurance from one of the companies that offer health insurance within Saudi Arabia itself, and it ranges anywhere from $10 up to about $100 for the duration of your stay. So let's say you just want to go with the least expensive one, which is about $10, and you factor that with the cost of your e-visa, $80, application fee $10.50, that brings you to about $100 all in order to apply for your e-visa. Now, you can collect a multiple entry, single entry, depending on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, depending on what they think you're eligible for. And the validity, the multiple entry visa is valid for 1 year from its issue date, and it allows for stays up to 90 days. So if you have a valid 1-year multiple entry visa for Saudi Arabia. You can stay in the country for 90 days. Now, this is good. Now, the requirements, according to the government official website, US, UK, Schengen visa holders can qualify for a visa if the below conditions are met. Your visa must be valid business or tourist visa. If it's the US visa, it has to be a B1 or B2 visa. The visa must have been used at least once and have an entry stamp from the issuing country. So if you have a US visa, you must have used that visa to enter into the US in the past, and there must be a stamp on that passport. And your passport must be valid for 6 months from beyond the day of entering Saudi Arabia. So these are the main criteria that you need to meet in order to apply for an e-visa for Saudi Arabia, and you can stay for up to 90 days if you are on the multiple entry visa. And this is really good news for anyone who has a third-tier passport. Like I said, like myself, for example, I can go to Saudi Arabia, apply online. This is good news. So what I tell people is this: even if you don't have the strongest passport, I can tell you categorically right now, getting a visa to one of these countries, either to UK, to the Schengen region, or to the US, might increase your chances of just getting access to some of these countries that allow that. Albania is one country that allows that. Georgia, a lot of countries allows you to enter. Even Mexico allows you to travel into the country even if you have a visa from the US that you have used in the past. So that might be something that you want to think about if you are thinking about traveling and you don't have a very strong passport, because that is the majority of people who watches the channel. And if you're just stumbling upon it, that is the advice that I will give to you. So Saudi Arabia, good news. If you want to go there, you can apply for an e-visa online. It costs about $100 all in. And that is the news for today. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, consider subscribing. If you have any questions about detailed Nomad visas, want to obtain some, or you just want to ask me a general question about them, leave it in the comments, or you can schedule a call with me, which I'll leave links to down in the description. Anyways, my name is Daniel, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care now. Peace out.